Hello, friends. On July 27, a video was published of the Grand Naval Parade for Mordor Navy Day, held on the Pregolia River in the heart of the Russian enclave of Kaliningrad, where this year the most powerful warships that the Russian Navy still has in the Baltic Sea took part. Navy Day is celebrated annually on the last Sunday of July to commemorate the founding of the Russian fleet by Peter the Great in 1696. Usually the naval parade in St. Petersburg is a high-profile event where dozens of warships parade in front of the old man in the Kremlin, Vladimir Putin. However, it was canceled for the second year in a row due to fears of an unannounced visit by Ukrainian drones during the event. But at least a barge passed by with a nice band, playing music to lift the spirits of all the orcs who lost their packages in the wild berries fire. Happy Raft Day, Ivan. On the Donetsk front, an invader who had the brilliant idea to go into the middle of a field to recover one of his drones shows us a remarkable example of dual-use military equipment by using his Mavic Matrix as an improvised mosquito interceptor. You have to admit, it was a great throw. Too bad for him that the 2-kilogram fragmentation anti-personnel mine carried by the mosquito still covered him with an unhealthy dose of shrapnel. However, Ivan is working on safer ways to neutralize the mosquitoes for his orcs, as we can see in this footage, where we see the successful test of a manual last resort system to take down drones that the Russians are testing in some areas of the front. Both sides have worked on this concept for a couple of years, but we still haven't seen large-scale deployment at the front. Maybe it's because, for the Russians, orcs are much cheaper than anti-drone nets. They could try to install a system like that on the back of their tanks. This video will always be a classic. The campaign to change the name of the Russian Amazon from wildberries to fireberries is still ongoing. And during the early hours of July 29th, the Ukrainian Defense Forces carried out a coordinated operation with long-range drones that struck 2 high-value targets inside Russian territory. We're talking about the Ryazan oil refinery, owned by the state oil company Rosneft, and also an important logistics and wildberries logistics and parcel sorting center. Both facilities are located in the Ryazan region, 360 kilometers from the border with Ukraine. The Ukrainian company Firepoint proudly confirmed that their long-range attack drones, FP-1, were used in the attack. That's why they released this video showing their drones approaching the targets, followed by large fires and dense columns of black smoke, confirming the impacts on both facilities. The Ryazan oil refinery is among the largest refineries in Russia, with an annual processing capacity of more than 17 million tons of crude oil. It produces gasoline, diesel, aviation fuel, and other petroleum products, which are essential for both civilian markets and the Russian military-industrial complex. At the same time, the defenders attacked the Wildberries Logistics Center located in the Ryazansky Industrial Park near the town of Tiushevo. The large sorting and distribution complex, which handles hundreds of thousands of shipments daily, was evacuated and had to suspend its operations. Later, it declared that the fire had been brought under control and that a substantial part of the inventory had been saved. Well, thank you for the information, which I'm sure will be of great interest for the upcoming missions being planned for the swarm of attack mosquitoes, which will surely include another visit to Ryazan. It's coming, it's coming. Given that the attacks on Wildberries facilities have been so devastating, the Russian logistics company Ozone has taken active measures to protect its own warehouses, so it has had its employees paint the following message on the roof of its largest logistics center for the Ukrainian mosquitoes. This is not wildberries, keep flying. I don't know if the measure will be effective, but hey, at least it's pretty creative. Although some Russians say that Ozone is going too far and is taking the strategy too far, I don't blame them, since the message on the roof says Crimea is Ukraine. We all know it's AI, but we also all know that Ozone is at least thinking about it. I don't know how I missed this story, in a clear example of how low-cost drones continue to transform modern aerial combat. On the morning of July 15th, operators from Ukraine's 427th Ryazan Unmanned Systems Brigade managed to hit and destroy a Russian attack helicopter, Mi-28 and Night Hunter, while it was flying well inside Russian territory. According to Robert Magyar Brovdi, commander of the Unmanned Systems Forces, the action took place at around 10 a.m. near the village of Vyazovoye in Belgorod Oblast, Russia, not far from the border with Ukraine. The drone was identified as a Ukrainian-made Skyfall Strike 10, which approached from the helicopter's rear blind spot, following it for about 20 seconds before hitting it directly on the tail, just before the video transmission was interrupted. However, Ukrainian sources reported that the attack helicopter crashed nose-first into the ground. The Mi-28N Night Hunter is a heavily armored twin-engine attack helicopter designed for anti-tank and close support missions, valued between $16 and $19 million. In contrast, the drone that shot it down costs less than $400. The difficulty of the attack is undeniable, since intercepting a helicopter in flight with a drone requires not only exceptional piloting skills, but also a good dose of luck to overcome the rotor's downdraft and rapid changes in altitude and direction that the helicopter can make. This incident is further proof that helicopters, which previously operated with relative impunity near the front, now face low-cost threats that can reach them even in rear areas they once considered safe. Speaking of helicopters, in a milestone for Ukraine's military aviation capabilities, the first group of Army aviation helicopter pilots has completed their specialized training as flight instructors in the United Kingdom as part of Operation Interstorm. The course, taught at No. 1 Flying Training School at RAF Shawbury, trains experienced Ukrainian pilots to be able to train the next generation of helicopter aviators according to NATO standards. The training included simulator sessions and flight instruction on the Airbus helicopter's Juno HT-1, which is the military variant of the Airbus H-135. The graduates are now prepared to return to their country and independently train future pilots, thus multiplying the training capacity of the defenders and reducing long-term dependence on external programs. The Ukrainian pilots bring frontline experience, including extensive knowledge of fighting against drones, which creates a two-way exchange, which also benefits the instructors of the Royal Air Force, allowing them to adapt to the realities of the modern battlefield. In early June 2026, the United Kingdom's Ministry of Defense announced that this helicopter instructor training program will be integrated into Operation Interflex, as that program transitions from large-scale basic infantry training to the development of specialized long-term capabilities. Since 2022, Interflex has trained more than 63,000 Ukrainian soldiers, including 11,000 instructors, with the support of 13 allied nations. The new phase prioritizes the development of advanced skills in aviation, medicine, engineering, and logistics to help Ukraine develop sustainable national systems. The program has become urgent due to Ukraine's upcoming addition of Western helicopters, including the Sea King helicopters from the British Royal Navy and the German Navy, and from the ongoing talks about the possible transfer of other attack and support platforms. By instilling NATO standard procedures, this initiative accelerates the transition of Ukrainian air crews to more advanced Western helicopters, while also strengthening interoperability with allies. Among the aircraft that could be considered for transfer are the Black Hawk and the H-1 family of helicopters from Beltextron, a company that has even created a subsidiary to operate within Ukraine. If you want to see additional content about the war in Ukraine, I invite you to visit our 2 new channels where we present information about the war in a different format. Don't forget to check them out. Remember to visit our Patreon, where for just $1 you'll have access to a large number of uncensored videos and documentaries. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel